You know, in pharma manufacturing, it is so easy to fall into a dangerous trap. We see the taillights of the truck pulling away from the loading dock and we think, all right, job done, success. But if you know good manufacturing practice, you know that loading dock, yeah, it's not the finish line. It's actually the starting line for a completely new, critical mission. So in today's explainer, we're diving into Lesson 10 of our GMP series, and we're focusing entirely on post-operational activities.
There is a core philosophy we really have to wrap our heads around here. Quality does not end at release. It follows the product to the patient. Seriously, the stakes here are quite literally life and death. Just because a drug passes its release testing, well, that doesn't make it immune to a heat wave in transit, right? Or mean that some hidden stability issue won't pop up a year down the road. These post-market activities, they form an active living safety net that stretches all the way from your warehouse directly to the patient's bedside.
So, how does that safety net actually work? Well, today we're breaking down the 5 pillars of post-release GMP. Good distribution practice, stability monitoring, complaint handling, recalls, and wrapping up with the annual product review. Let's jump right into Section 1, Good Distribution Practice, or GDP, which is all about getting the product to the market safely. Now, GDP isn't just about, slapping boxes on pallets. It's a fortified, legally required shield. Think about it. Everyone touching that product needs a valid wholesale authorization license. Storage conditions have to be meticulously preserved, meaning temperature and humidity are constantly monitored during transport. Plus, we have to maintain absolute traceability for every single consignee and batch. Why? To guarantee falsified medicines never sneak into the chain. And if a product gets returned, it is rigorously evaluated. You can't just toss it back onto the saleable stock shelf without a solid documented basis. The contrast between standard shipping and temperature-sensitive pharma shipping is honestly staggering. Standard transport, it's basically dropping a package in the mail, relying on general carrier SOPs and basic traceability. But an unbroken cold chain, whole different ballgame. It's a VIP escort. We're talking qualified packaging, continuous data loggers acting as tiny digital bodyguards for every single consignment, and map storage hotspots. If an excursion happens, you need a highly documented process to handle it. One single break in that cold chain is a direct threat to patient safety.
All right, moving on to Section 2, Stability Monitoring, ensuring our product actually stays within spec.
See, once the product is out in the real world, we don't just cross our fingers and hope it survives to its expiration date. We actively test it. The ongoing stability program is a mandatory GMP requirement where you test a minimum of 1 batch per product every single year. It's not just a one-and-done registration task, it's a continuous pulse check to verify those shelf life conditions hold up.
And this testing follows a really strict timeline, hitting marks at 0, 3, 6, 12, 24, and 36 months. We're pulling samples at these exact intervals, hunting for any kind of drift. Let's say you hit the 12-month mark and the data looks out of trend. Even if it technically hasn't failed the absolute specification yet, boom, that triggers an immediate investigation. It's essentially your early warning radar for the entire market supply.
That brings us to Section 3, Complaint Handling, which is how we capture and investigate feedback from the field.
Look, in pharmaceuticals, a complaint is never, ever just a minor customer service headache. It's a critical regulatory event. The intake process is strict. First, you receive the complaint. Phone, web, email, and immediately record it, assigning a unique tracking number tied straight to the lot and product. Then you evaluate. How severe is this? Is it reportable? What's the potential root cause? Then comes the investigation phase, pulling batch records, checking stability, hunting for similar cases. You respond to the complainant, and finally, and this is key, you feed that data into your trending and CAPA systems. You're transforming external gripes into a powerful internal learning engine.
Next up, Section 4, Recalls, also known as the emergency pull.
This right here is the ultimate test of your safety net. Recalls have to be fast and ruthless. The tempo has to match the threat. Take a Class 3 recall, maybe a minor packaging error, no real health risk expected. You generally have weeks to manage that. A Class 2 involves a temporary or medically reversible issue. Now your timeline shrinks to days. But a Class 1 recall, that means serious adverse health consequences or even death. The timeline there is immediate. You literally have hours to notify regulators, freeze the supply chain, and pull that product to save lives. Hours.
Because those hours are so critical, I've got a direct question for you. When was your last mock recall? Seriously, think about it. You cannot figure out how to execute a Class 1 recall while the emergency is actually happening. A mock recall is a vital fire drill. It tests everything upstream, your documentation, your governance, and how fast you can actually trace a specific lot to its final consignee.
So what happens when the auditors show up? Well, here are the common risks we see cited. Trace to consignee exercises taking more than 48 hours. Cold-chain excursions just magically accepted by the warehouse with zero quality review. Or the classic, no mock recall in the last 24 months. But look at the mitigations you can put in place right now. Get an electronic trace system going with a sub-4-hour target. Lock down a solid excursion procedure with defined acceptance criteria. And run that annual mock recall with a full team debrief to find the gaps before an inspector does. Finally, we come full circle to Section 5, the Annual Product Review, or APR, closing the loop on the product lifecycle.
The APR, sometimes called a PQR, is your yearly mega document. It funnels literally everything we've just talked about into one ultimate report card. It covers all the batch data produced in that period, it trends your in-process controls and release results, it maps out patterns in your out-of-spec results and deviations, it absorbs all your complaint volumes, ongoing stability data, and measures the impact of any facility changes or validations. This is how you prove, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that your process is in a state of absolute control year after year.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a crucial thought. If a regulator walked into your facility tomorrow morning and asked to see your post-market safety nets, how confident would you really be? Are they active, documented, and truly ready for inspection? Because GMP doesn't stop at the loading dock. Good distribution, stability monitoring, complaints, and recalls, these are the invisible mechanisms protecting the patient long after the product has left your hands. So take a hard look at your procedures today, because true quality follows the product all the way to the patient's bedside. Thanks for joining me to explore this, and keep learning.